All right, Mike, and we are live.
Woo! Live in the LiveFire studio. Do we have people on yet, man? I don't see any comments popping up, but I see at least, wow, the little 7 people watching me live right now. I'm so excited. Looks like we're on camera angle 2. Let's switch to 1. Check 1 for me. We also have a slider angle going back and forth. Audio test 1, 2, 3. Hey, I do have a comment. Oh my gosh, I have comments. Hello. Good afternoon from Banning, California. I see comments, but I can't see who is making those comments. So, hey, Banning, California, let me know your name if you would, please. Hey, folks, good afternoon, I guess. Technically, it's afternoon. I almost said good morning because I'm so used to doing these live streams early in the morning. Normally, it would be 7:30 on Tuesday mornings. Of course, today it is 1 p.m. Central Time. And if you're just jumping on here, my name is Mike Seeklander, and we're going to do a live show for you. Now, of course, we have a lot of things to cover today, and as those of you know, I'm going to ask you, if you're a coin member, to say, hey, Mike, I'm coin member number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you're an ACSS member or a LiveFire user, please let me know you're a LiveFire user as well. Do me a favor, wherever you are right now, click the share button. Let other folks know we're on right now at 1 p.m. Central Time. We're going to turn that music down just a little bit because I've got Charles in the booth, a.k.a. my conscious, that's going to tell me exactly how I look on camera. And I've actually never been in a studio that has multiple camera angles. I got 1, 2, and 3. And for the heck of it, who likes my new shirt, right? Check out the new shirt. Everybody check out the new shirt. This is one of my new
I think this shirt looks great, Mike.
Hey, Charles, so here's your question. Charles, do you notice how tight my shirt fits? You know, like sleeves are. Like, you notice that's
like that was very much on purpose.
But the thing is, though, this is probably the biggest sleeve they have, man. There's no bigger sleeve. Like, this is the extra large sleeve. So
I feel like you got it in an extra small.
No, man, this is an extra large shirt, extra large sleeve. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. I apologize in advance if you're offended by my biceps. But hey, let's get into the show. All right, so let's talk safety real quickly. If you are going to do any of the draw processes with me, please make sure you are in a safe area and you have a safe backstop. Like always, all safety rules apply. So if you're not willing to comply with those safety rules, I got to tell you to leave this live stream, and I would hate to do so. I see a bunch of you coin members popping up. I see Alan Kelly's in the house, IDPA as well. Hey, Mr. Elke from Colorado. Bill from Frisco, Texas. Chris, hey, thank you for saying you love the LiveFire app. I hope some of you are on the LiveFire app, by the way. If you're on the LiveFire app, give me a follow and send me a message and let me know how it's going. I see Frank on from California, from South Carolina. Miss Chris is on. James Tucker, good morning. Hello, or afternoon. Midland, Texas. How many more times? We'll turn this into an afternoon, I guess I could say drinking show, but hopefully you're not drinking yet. How many more times I'm going to say good morning versus good afternoon? So we got a lot of folks on, folks, and we got a great show today. I'm going to be talking about the 3 key index points of the draw process. But before we do that, of course, do me a favor, click the share button, click the like button, let other folks on the Facebook pages know we're live. And I think I'm live on the LiveFire page, the Shooting Performance page, the IDPA page, and the LiveFire Studio page as well. So we're live on at least 4 different pages, which is awesome as well. A few more things. If you are on right now and you're going to join along, please double check and triple check if you're just jumping on because someone shared it. No ammo in your magazines, no ammo in your firearms. Of course, in the LiveFire studio, we have a safe backstop and beyond, believe it or not. And I also have an unloaded and clear firearm in my holster. I've already checked that. And I've got 3 other guns in the gun bag as well. We may talk about carry optics just a little bit, and I've got 2 iron-sighted handguns in case we talk about that. Oh, before I forget to talk about the programming, this week's programming, I launched what did we do? We did Grip and Rip 2 this week. Last week was Grip and Rip 1. If you're watching this and going, Mike, I don't know what you mean by programming. Every single week we do a weekly challenge / programming on the LiveFire app. So if you're not on the LiveFire app, we're going to throw a little QR code across the screen and you can scan that code and sign up for free for a period of time. And if you like it, of course, which I know you're going to like it, you're not just going to like it, you're going to love it, you can stay in the app and start running the drills and doing the logbook and stuff like that. But here's the deal with the programming. The programming is by design phased in its approach, meaning we started out with the fundamental hold and the bowls, 1, 2, and 3 drills, and now we're working on the presentation and the grip. And every single time I do a new drill of the week, we're launching them once a week right now. It has some overt purposes and it has some covert purposes, some things, some little hidden gems that I know some of my members are going, hey, Mike, I realized after I did that drill so many times that it taught me this and I was learning this. And that wasn't really stated in the drill, and that's exactly my purpose. The intent with the weekly programming is for LiveFire users to be able to follow along drill by drill, and then not just do the drill one time and shoot it for score, but there's so much to learn from these drills. You should be starting the drill, shooting it for score, posting your score, and then repeating the drill throughout the week to learn from it, and then use it however much you need to in the past. So one more thing about that. When I do a drill, I have let's say it's a 5-yard, 5-shot pace drill or whatever else. If I log those results, I can go back 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 months and look at what my score was, look at what my skill set was at that point in time. So that's critically important that you log your results and check that out. So, man, hey, I see coin number 2225 from Arizona. Hey, from Israel. Is that the country Israel? Oh my gosh. Missouri number 2269 is on. Hey, someone shared with a girl in Guns a Low Country. I bet that's Tina that's on right now. Nice to see you on as well. And good afternoon, a girl in a gun, Backstrap, Texas. Nice to have it. How do you get a LiveFire shirt? That's a question I have. I don't know. But since I'm talking about programming, I'm going to bring the guy up that can answer that question. How you get a LiveFire shirt. He is one of the co-founders. His name is Brock Nunn. He looks a lot bigger than me on stage when he comes up here, but he's not actually. We put a platform for him to stand on. He's not really as tall and good looking as he actually looks on camera, since I actually have someone on the stage for the first time ever. I've never had someone, man. I don't know what to do with my hands, dude.
Well, here we are, Mike.
I know, man.
Yeah.
So Brock is going to tell you a little bit about what we have going on in LiveFire. New stuff, old stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff I may have missed.
Hey, everybody. This is Brock. I'm one of the co-founders of LiveFire, like Mike was just talking about. I am super excited to finally be on here on stage in front of you guys. Just to talk about LiveFire just for a little bit. So what I'd like to do is give you some updates and also a little bit of instruction on what we can do to make things even better. One of the first things that I'd like everyone to do is if you have LiveFire installed on your phone, head over to the App Store. If you don't already have automatic updates on your phone, which some do, some don't, that's totally personal decision, but what I would really encourage you to do, go ahead, jump over to the App Store where you found LiveFire in the first place, either on Google Play or the Apple App Store. And if you have LiveFire installed, there'd be a little button on there that just says plainly update. The reason I'm asking you to do that, there's a bunch of cool things coming and a bunch of cool things that are already there for a lot of our community to experience. One of the deals there is that we have now taken posting from, you can only post whenever you make a log, you do a logbook post, and that is really cool, it's really valuable. But now what we want to do is we want to share posting with the entire community, because what we found is you guys are putting up the coolest stuff that we've ever seen. It's great. I know there's people showing videos of their competitions, of videos of their dry fire drills, and they're giving us breakdowns of just kind of everything that they have to do their training within the day. The next thing that I would like you guys to go in and check out is the new LiveFire feature. That's, of course, the new loadout builder, right? And so I
admit my loadouts are not all the way built. So if you're on my profile right now, it's not my fault. It's probably his fault in some way, shape, or form, or Charles's fault in the booth. I'm not sure. I'm going to blame it on Charles. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, it's okay. We'll figure out a way. We'll get you on that shirt. So yeah, to be clear, guys, the LiveFire shirt store, the retail store, is not launched yet. We are quickly working on that because frankly, a huge demand. We lucked in to some pretty great designs early on, and we will figure out a way to get you guys shirts in your hands quickly. But one of the best ways to do that, go into LiveFire, jump in there onto the LiveFire app, send me a message, send Mike a message, and let us know if you'd like a shirt. And someone may just get a hold of you. Someone may get a shirt right there to you, because we want to get shirts in your guys' hands. We couldn't be more excited to do that. So let's go into the LiveFire Loadout Builder, like Mike was talking about. The LiveFire Loadout Builder, think about that like Pinterest, but for the firearms community. It's a little bit like that. So we're going to run in there. You will see the new LiveFire Loadout Builder right on your profile, where you have your badges, and then you'll see your activity feed, and then right next to that, you'll see a new sign on that is the Loadout Builder. Next to that, you'll be able to add your first new loadout. So the purpose of that is to say, hey, you have a bug out bag, you have a range day bag, you have a everyday carry that you want to have around. So what you'll be able to do there is go in, let us know what's in that everyday carry, and it won't just let us know. Everyone in the LiveFire community will also be able to see what's in that bag, what's in that collection, what's in that loadout, and they'll be able to share those items. And you want to scan that QR code. They'll be able to save those items to your private saved items. So if you like something that Mike has in his range day bag, thinks it's pretty cool, because sometimes the stuff that Mike carries is pretty cool, you'll be able to save that.
True.
And automatically have it as one of your saved items. So if you want to go buy that one day, you totally can. It's a great way to keep up with that stuff. But that's it for me for the LiveFire update.
Hey folks, just real quick, since you have them on stage, if you have a question about anything in LiveFire or a feature that you would like to see, type the comments up there. Brock has to go back to doing what he does. And I fully admit, I probably helped program a lot of the app. I mean, I probably did that and didn't even really realize I was programming most of the stuff that he thinks he did. But the point is, if you see something on LiveFire that maybe isn't working like you think it should work, or something that you would like to see as far as a feature, that's something that we've done from the very beginning. Matter of fact, that was one thing when I met Brock and I met Mike, the other founder of the company. They said, hey man, break this thing for it. We've developed this unique app to facilitate firearms training. Yes. Break it for us. Do it. And I tried. And I've gave them a ton of feedback. And they came in here late at night and programmed and changed some things and had some really late nights. But you know, if there's something you want to see, type it in the comments and let us know.
Yeah, and that's one of the most important things. Is LiveFire is a living, breathing app, and it's fueled by you guys. And what we want to do is build the best thing possible for the community that we're so passionate about. And it's a great product today. We're so excited to make it an even better one tomorrow. Anyway, thank you guys. Enjoy the live stream. Mike, thank you, sir.
Cool. All right, folks, let's talk about a few things. And by the way, I did see someone post a comment about a phone having no video or sound, so I'm assuming that everybody can hear me 5x5. Some of my old school DDC listeners and watchers give me a mic. You sound good, you look good. Of course, I hope I look good. If I don't look good, please let me know. But I did see that, so hopefully that's the iPhone on your side and not a sound issue on our side. I see a lot of people ask for that free shirt. Okay, well, just you got to be on the LiveFire app to get a free shirt. You have to be on the LiveFire app, and you have to send us a message, and we're going to put all those messages into a hat. We're going to mix that hat up, and we're going to draw that out of the hat. We'll get some shirts out. We just sent shirts last week. We sent a bunch of shirts out. So, anyways, what do I say? Okay, no more comments. Okay, 5x5. Sound is all good. I'm happy to hear that. So let's talk real briefly about what I want to cover today and why I want to cover it. And then we'll open up for some Q&A in the end. I want to talk to you about 3 key index points of the draw process. Now, when we're talking about the draw process, you know, wherever you are and whenever you might jump on to this live stream or watch us replay, I'm talking about the competitive draw process. But understand that the principles of the draw process are very similar in terms of a defensive draw versus a competition draw. Matter of fact, last week we talked about a defensive type draw. I talked about the appendix position. We talked about appendix holsters. We talked about the C sweep, the way I sweep the garment, and why you might consider sweeping with one hand. So if you haven't watched that, please go back and watch that. We're going to chop that up and put it on LiveFire as well. But today I want to talk about the competition handgun draw process, and specifically 3 key index points in your draw process that you can use to improve your speed and, more importantly, your consistency in the draw process. Because think about this for a second. You know, let's say you're on that stage and you're shooting great in the match and you're getting ready to rock and roll, and the RO or the SO says, hey, load and make ready, and you load and make ready and get the handgun ready to go, and you're ready, and boom, timer goes off, and boom, you miss the draw process, and you grab the handgun out of the holster with an improper grip, and the next thing you know, everything else you did on the stage is less effective than it could have been, right? And when you miss that draw process, it's highly likely that you missed a key index point, right? An index point that is, someone says I've got a law issue here as far as my microphone. You ever hear me okay? Check 1, 2. Charles in the booth, I've got a message on my, is my lav okay, folks? Sorry for the interruption. Test 1, 2, 1, 2.
Go ahead and check your back pocket.
Check 1, 2, check 1, 2.
Just the cord.
Hey folks, this is what happens in some of these shows. Someone said I might have bumped my quarter. Got super excited. Test 1, 2, how we sit now?
That's fine.
All right, back at it. This is why I need a shotgun mic. Something hanging over my head, I can just talk, right? So, back to it. 3 key index points. The concept here is when you're drawing your handgun and you're getting ready to rock and roll, things have to be as consistent as they possibly can. When you mess your draw up, a large majority of time when you make that mistake, it's because you weren't paying attention to a few things, okay? So let's talk about index point number 1. Now, index point number 1, and I'm gonna pull the gun out of the holster, demonstrate this one more time and demonstrate that the gun is unloaded and clear. So I've got an unloaded and clear firearm, no magazine, nothing in the chamber. Index point 1 actually happens at my initial contact of the firearm, right? So when I'm going to grab the gun in the holster and I make contact with the handgun, that initial contact of my skin or the web of my hand and the back strap of the handgun tells me a ton of information. I get a ton of data from that, right? And what I'm getting initially is when the hand touches that spot. Number 1, is the hand high enough on the back strap of the gun? So with my students, I always tell them, when you're drawing your handgun, attack the gun from the rear. So I'm attacking the gun from the rear and I'm sliding my hand up the back strap of the handgun where there's literal pressure, literal. I'm not sure if that's the proper pronunciation. Anyways, we'll look that up later. There's going to be pressure between the web of my hand and the beaver tail or the tang of the firearm, right? Okay. Now, the key index point there, index point 1, is not just telling me, hey, Mike, there's the right amount of pressure, which means you grip the handgun high enough. But most importantly, if you look at the orientation of the handgun in my hand, left or right, I know there's a key spot when I build the proper grip that the gun is going to line up directly in front of my dominant eye, right? So if I were to build a perfect grip with the handgun and then kind of unwind the grip, I know that perfect grip would require that I index the grip like this where the web of the hand is like this. Not like this and not like this. But the point is, without looking at it, I can feel the difference. And there's your key tip number 1. You shouldn't have to look at your handgun to draw it. You should be paying attention to what you're feeling anytime you build a firing grip on the handgun. Whether you're grabbing it from the holster, or you're grabbing it from the table, or you're grabbing it from wherever. If you're a defensive shooter, you're grabbing it from a glove box or a weapon safe at home. You should feel that the draw process or the indexing of the handgun is going good. Okay, so that's index point number 1. Now, one more thing about index point number 1, as you all probably know, is I'm going to flag the strong hand thumb and keep it out of the way. For me, I'm shooting 1911. So that strong hand thumb is going to be above that safety, right? So that's a key point for me. If my thumb is too low on the grip, then I may push the other hand low on the grip, okay? Now let's talk about index point number 2. And I love this one because this one is one that I use in so many technical aspects of shooting a competition. And that's my index point into the trigger guard, AKA the Judy chop, right? It's a chopping motion. The backstory on that, let's talk about the backstory because everybody loves stories, right? A long time ago, I was teaching the trigger guard index point, and I had students that were just putting their hands together. They're indexing somewhere, meaning they're putting their hands together, but they weren't really paying attention to a specific touch point or a direction of their hand. Matter of fact, if I rewound that message or that story even farther back, I would tell you that my own personal experiences when I'm trying to draw really, really fast were that I would miss my grip sometimes. I wouldn't get the second hand on the handgun properly, right? So what I realized was that if I put my hands together like this, that the hand slipped and slided up and down the grip, right? It's not a stationary position, but if I take the hand and I tweak it just ever so slightly where I rotate it in, this direction of indexing the trigger guard gave me a level of consistency at speed that was second to none, right? The other great thing about this is I can utilize it in a lot of different aspects. So if I decide I'm going to run to the next position, and as I swing my arms, I'm running, when I come to the next position and enter it, I'm going to automatically start to index the trigger guard to get ready to build my grip again, to build that master grip. Now, here's the key with index point number 2. You have to learn where the underside of your trigger guard is going to touch your index finger, right? So there's a spot where when you touch that spot under the trigger guard, your hands will rotate together and build a perfect grip. So you need to build a perfect grip on the handgun, right? Go ahead and aim if you want to, make sure the sights are where they need to, and then kind of unbuild the grip and then pay attention to exactly where you're touching. So that's index point number 2, okay? Now, index point number 3 is one that I think a lot of people miss. Index point number 3 is also one that will allow us to determine where the gun's going to be pointed when it stops at our full presentation. And think about this for a second. If I'm receiving information as I'm grabbing the gun in the holster, okay, by feel, I'm already ahead of my visual ability to start the aiming process. Meaning I can't aim the handgun or verify the sight picture until I get to a specific point and the gun is extended in front of me, right? So if I'm feeling index point 1, index point 2, and index point 3 is where the corners of my thumb and the other thumb touch together. So my hand doesn't simply build onto the grip like this. It builds into the grip and up. And I want the left hand as high on the gun as possible. So then the hands fit together like pieces of a puzzle. So if you look at how my hands are on the handgun, there's no gap behind them. And the concept there, right, is not necessarily, well, Mike, to shoot well, your hands have to be put together like a piece of a puzzle. No, if my hands are put together and fit like two pieces of a puzzle, then I know because of that, there's probably not a gap anywhere between my hands, and I'm applying pressure to the spot where I want to apply pressure on the gun in itself, okay? By the way, who's on right now? We got a lot of people on. We got a ton of people watching. I think maybe a Tuesday afternoon is going to be a good showtime. I'm not sure about that. Hey, do me a favor if you're on and have been watching this and you're enjoying this, stop for a second, click that like button, click that little heart button, share it to a group, share it to my group, share it to your friends, text your buddies, tell them we're doing a little Q&A. We're talking about the draw process, and Mike Seeklander is giving some free content out, right? That's a good thing. So we're talking about the 3 key index points of the draw process. So don't forget about the 3 index points and their consistency and what they're doing for you. By the way, if you don't follow Livefire on Instagram, give them a follow. Follow me as well. You should follow me on Instagram. If you don't, I'd be very, very surprised. But give us a follow. If you're not on Livefire, you should check it out because, of course, there's a lot of great content on the app itself. Okay? So let's talk about the draw process and applying those 3 index points. Now, when I talk about the index points, you know, I'm not getting away from the fact that, you know, everything in my structure starts from the ground up, right? My feet have to be in a position to do whatever I'm doing then and whatever I'm about to do. Maybe I'm about to step left or step right or lean left, and my feet are going to basically change based on what I'm trying to do. But when I'm drawing, my goal is to pay attention to those index points. Now, when you watch my draw, and I'll do it very, very slow, my hands are always going to start their motion at the same time, and I'm attacking the gun from the rear. That's index point number 1, right? The gun comes out of the holster, drives by my support hand, and I chop into the trigger guard. There you have index point number 2. Now, I'm already receiving information about the grip building process without ever having looked at the sights, because I can't look at the sights right now. Think about that. And if I can't look at the sights right now, I don't need to look at the sights right now because I'm building my grip by feel, okay? Once the gun indexes point number 2, right? So I've touched that underside of the trigger guard. As I continue to build the grip, I can feel the corners of my thumbs coming together in the final grip building process. And my dot was literally directly in the center of the screen on my optic, and it landed exactly where I looked. By the way, you should know this, but whenever you're drawing your handgun, or more importantly, maybe I should ask this in the form of a question. When you're about to draw, You're standing there and the SO or the RO has made you load make ready and you're getting it ready. It's almost go time. Here's a couple questions for you. What should you look at and what should you think about? What should you look at and what should you think about, right? So type your answers in the comment and let's see if we can come up with some good answers. Because when I'm doing this, what I look at, right, is key, and what I think about is key as well. Now, granted, when I draw, I'm going to pay attention to index point 1, index point 2, and index point 3, right? But I want to start that process, right, as early as I possibly can, okay? By the way, we keep playing here in the Livefire studio with our commenting. I have comments there, which are big and very easy to read. The problem with those comments is I can't see who said it. Then there's the comments there that are a little better because I can see who said it, right? But I can't read it quite as well. So don't worry, we're going to get better and better and better at this way. Eric says, understanding and using the trigger guard index point Judy chop help you immensely in building your grip consistently. It's all about consistently building the grip. So what am I looking at and what am I thinking about? Here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a specific spot on the target. Like not the whole target. Like you can see the target in my background. If I were shooting at that target, I would be looking at the 0 in the 0 zone of the target. And what am I thinking about? Nothing. I might have thought to myself, grip the gun, move the gun faster, whatever, pre-draw. But right there, when the buzzer's about to go off, I'm looking at that specific spot. I'm trying to relax my arms as much as possible, and I'm completely clearing my mind. So when the timer goes off, I can draw the handgun and then do what I need to do, right? Here's a key point for you, and then we'll open up for some Q&A. If you tie up your mind, your unconscious or subconscious, call it whatever you want, right? That's about to run the program, the shooting-related program of the stage you're about to shoot. If you tie up that bandwidth or that processing power with too many conscious thoughts, right? You're thinking about, I got to shoot the swinger perfect. I got to hit that piece of steel. I got to do whatever else. You are literally killing the timing of your unconscious mind. The very best thing you can do, assuming you followed a good stage planning process, right, is to make sure that you are opening your minds and thinking about nothing, right? You've already got the conscious plan. You've already got, you recon the stage, you came up with your plan. At that moment of time, I'm looking exactly where I want to hit, and I'm just relaxing my mind entirely, and then I draw the handgun, and I start firing. Boom, 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 reload, move, do whatever else I need to do, okay? So 3 key index points. Here's how you're going to work this. We call this on the Livefire app, getting your 50, right? You can set up the Livefire app. There's a built-in par timer, so you can pick a time you can make. And in the last dry fire series I did, we went from very slow and correct, and then slowly reduce the par time. But set up the par timer, right? Maybe for very slow and correct initially, and then start working your hands relaxed at sides draw in a very deliberate manner where you're paying attention to index point 1, 2, 3. Dry fire. Work your slide. Think about what you're trying to feel here. We always try to tell our students, pay attention to not just what you're seeing, but what you're feeling in your hands. How are your hands indexing the handgun, attacking the gun from the rear? Okay. I don't aim the gun until here, but I felt my index point 1, 2, 3 well before the gun stopped, right? So really try to focus on paying attention. Index point 1, 2, 3. Want to start from a different hand position? That's fine, right? Hands at this run position. Index point 1, 2, and 3. Simulated barricade. Index points 1, 2, and 3. So my goal or my challenge for you would be to pay attention to those index points for at least 10 reps when you're getting your 50, right? And then start dropping the par time down. And even though you're going to start going faster and faster and faster as you're practicing that draw process, and maybe changing your hand start position, and maybe adding a pivot or a step or whatever else, you're still consciously trying to pay attention to the index points of the gun. Because if you do that, you will, for lack of a better way to put it, you will get an alert if things are going south, right? So if you're about to draw the handgun and you grab the handgun and you feel that's a bad grip in the holster, right? You feel that. When I feel that in the holster, I can shift my hand around and fix it in the holster before the gun ever comes out. Because if I grab the handgun wrong, when it comes out, I'm going to have a wrong grip. I'm going to have an improper grip. So I have to get the very best grip I possibly can when the gun's in the holster, if that makes any sense. Okay? All right, folks. What do we have on? We have Cody's talking about looking, Wade talking about where you want to shoot. I think we're talking about the comments from before. I see them as well. I like all those answers. Good, good, good. Here's the deal for you. When you're doing your next dry fire session, here's my challenge. Focus on not just pulling the gun out in some manner, but focus entirely on the process, trying to make it as perfectly done as you possibly can, trying to feel every key index point, trying to minimize any wasted motion. Try to find out where that time is. Your goal should not be just to go fast, right? Your goal should be to be fast and as consistent as you possibly can be. Okay, folks? All right, so that's all I have today. Today was kind of a unique one. We did it at 1 p.m. Next week's live show is scheduled at 1 p.m. as well. We're actually going to be talking about trigger control. And when we talk about trigger control, we're going to break it down from the accelerated to the control pull and talk about those things as well, okay? So Mike Smith asks, what about the transition from reload to chop? Ooh, that's a great question. So Mike, if I understand your question, and I do have an empty magazine, by the way, how do you transition from a reload to a chop? And today we're not talking a lot about reload, but I'll answer your question. I want to give you kind of a unique angle here. When I load the gun, assuming it is a speed load for USPSA, so it's not a slide lock load, or maybe, I guess, technically for IDPA now, it could be a speed load as well because we're not required to shoot to slide lock. Once I've inserted that magazine into the gun with that proper angle, right? The second the magazine slides into the gun, I'm focusing on indexing and sliding the magazine in from the left-hand side. So I'm making contact with the palm of my hand and the magazine on the left-hand side. And then second that hand inserts the magazine, I have a good seat. Notice where my index finger is now. So my left index finger is right under the trigger guard. So I'm going to rotate the hand. I'm going to make sure I'm in the right spot. That's index point number 2. And then index point number 3, rotate the hands together for the grip. So I'm paying attention to inserting the magazine, seating. There's index point number 2. And then there's index point number 3. And notice when I did this, I'm not doing a lot of wasted motion in the gun itself. I'm basically indexing and extending the handgun directly to the target. So good question, and hopefully that answered for you as well. So, all right, I don't see any other comments popping up as far as questions. We're still working on the comment system, folks. I promise we'll get that down so I can see more of your comments back. Hey, I keep seeing folks saying free shirt, free shirt. Hey, free shirt, guess what you got to do? Get on the LiveFire app, send us a message me, or message Brock Nunn. And we're going to take all of those messages, the millions of messages, right, that we're going to get, and we're going to put them in a hat, and we're going to start sending out some free shirts, okay? So we'll reach out to you if you want a free shirt. Maybe we'll have some of you send pictures of you with your shirts to us so we can post it to social and let you know you want it, okay? Folks, that's all I have. Take some time. Work on the draw process, but don't just work on drawing the gun and pulling the gun out of the holster. Work on those index points. By the way, the index point concept can be applied to anything. The reload, the draw and transfer, all that stuff can be applied. So find a key index point that will give you not just the speed you're looking for, but the consistency as well, folks. That's all I have for now. See you next week. Until then, train hard.